Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Risking It All podcast. We've got a full house today, joined by Brian as always, Jolly Media Marketing, and Barry, Jolly Media Marketing, and Andy McDade of McDade's Coaches. So, first and foremost, thanks as always for your support with the podcast. We're just motoring through episodes now, and we really appreciate it. And we're delighted to be joined by our guest today. Someone who I've known for a couple of years now, which is Javier Peralta.
Welcome, Javier.
Buenos dias, everyone.
Buenos dias.
Thanks for coming in, mate.
Thank you for inviting me.
So for anyone that doesn't know Javier, he is the founder of Going for Profit, which helps entrepreneurs and businesses basically go for profit and build their businesses. And there's a lot more strings to that. He's got multiple other businesses that sit under that, and we're really keen to dig into all that today, Javier. But obviously, you didn't come to Glasgow from birth, so we're going to dig into this backstory and how you've ended up sitting here with us three in this podcast studio. That would be an interesting one.
Definitely. When I was at the school, I would have never imagined I would be sitting here with you today. I can tell you that.
Yeah, God, I don't know.
With his cuts, you know.
I don't know what you've done in your past life and your sins for this, but But anyway, let's hear all about it. Javier, tell us how you got here.
So basically, when I was 17, my dad said, "Javier, why don't you go to Harvard to study?" And I said, "Wow." That night I couldn't sleep, and I woke up in the morning and I went to the American consulate in Valencia. And anyway, just to cut the long story short, I looked at the possibilities, and then I went to London that summer to graduate in economics. And my dad wanted me to come back to help him run the business. But I did not. 30 years later, I'm here sitting with you. With you.
What did your dad's business do?
He, aviculture, so chickens.
Ah, right.
Chickens,
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. And so anyway, I after my degree in economics, I worked 10 years in London. Then I moved up to Manchester, did my MBA. I worked in Manchester, and then I moved 20 years ago. I moved to Glasgow. So it's all been kind of work-driven. And when I got to Glasgow, after a few months, I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad that many people have read. That's one of the books that changed my life. And I bought my first property, and then I grew a portfolio of properties and golf and whiskey. I don't do this, but it's the land of whiskey. And I just rooted in here, really, and it's been wonderful.
Brilliant. So there's loads of things you've just mentioned there that I want to dig into, but I'd love to hear a little bit about growing up in Valencia. So your dad was in agriculture. Did you grow up on a farm?
No, we were in the city. My dad. In the weekends, I would go to a farm to work there to make some pennies and pesetas at the time. It goes back a long way. But yeah, no, it's I had a normal life in school. It was a bit of what do you call it?
Torag.
At the school, I got kicked out of school when I was 14. And I remember my dad, this was a defining moment in my life. My dad said to me, Javier, well, they convinced the headmaster to allow me to finish the year. It was a private school.
Right, okay.
So it wasn't cheap. And my dad said, Javier, time is up. I remember exactly in the house where I was looking up to my dad, and he said to me, now either you do what I say and I get you out of your situation, or you run your own life, and if you fail one more exam, because I was pretty good at failing exams, he said, I will take you out of the school and I'll put you in a farm to work. And those 2 seconds, I went through my entire life and thought, wow, so if I leave school now, I can work, make some money, buy myself a motorbike. I was thinking short term.
Yeah.
But then something came in my head, and then I looked at my dad in the eyes, and I thought, this man loves me. I'm going to put myself in his hands. I said, Dad, I'll do what you say. He says, very good. These are the rules of the game. I was grounded at home. I had to study, and so on and so forth. Then I remember I was so bored at home that I put my room in flames. I burned it. I was playing with fire and whatever else. Honestly, it was mental. My mom just didn't give up on me, but and then I said, look, I cannot study in the house. I didn't know it, but ADHD. I couldn't concentrate.
Yeah.
I just want to say congratulations, Javier. You're the first guest we've had on that set the room on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just you wait. No. Yeah. So anyway, I said to my parents, there is a boys' club that I want to go to study there because they had a study room, and I went there every day and I built the habit to study. One reason I wanted to go there is because I was allowed to smoke. I was 14 and a half.
Right, okay.
In Spain, in those days, everybody smoked. Anyway, so I developed the habit to study, and I started passing exams. 2 years later, my dad said, why don't you go to Harvard? Which meant, why don't you go abroad to study?
Yeah.
That's a big turnaround. That's in that short space of time.
2 years. 2 years. Well, that was a defining moment for me when my dad said that, and I thank God that I chose the right thing.
Yeah.
It was tough, but it was the right thing. At that age, when you are, the equivalent of S4, I guess, is where you're a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So it's some good advice from him, and I bet you're happy you took it. And did you have any siblings growing up in the house?
Yes, one wonderful brother. He's 6 years older than me, and then 4 lovely sisters.
Oh, wow.
Big family.
Big family, yeah.
And 18 nephews and nieces.
Oh, wow. Wow. Are they all still in Spain?
Yeah, they are all in Spain,
Right, okay. And when you moved to London, could you already speak English? No. Did you learn here?
I knew 300 words, something like that. And so it was a great challenge to learn the language and then do the degree. So the first year was pretty tough. But another defining moment of my childhood that impacted the rest of my life was when I was, 15-ish. I used to smoke, and then my dad would smell that smoke when I came home, and I gave him a kiss. And he said, Javi, you're burnt. I said, I'm not burnt. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. He says, I bet you 150 equivalent pounds that you cannot run a marathon. I said, yes, I can. No, you can't. So being a 15-year-old, anyway, so I trained for I didn't train for the marathon. I had 3 months for the marathon. I didn't do any training. The day before the marathon, I stopped smoking. That was my training. 24 hours, I stopped smoking, and then all my friends put in beds. He's gonna run it now. And then that night I went to bed, and this was a defining moment in my life. I sat down and said, how on earth am I gonna do this? So I sat down on my bed, elbows on my legs, and thinking, and I said, mindset. This is about mindset. I've got a 16-year-old body, it's elastic, I can do this. It's 26 miles, I can do this. It's just a matter of doing it. So I got a friend to accompany me. Can you accompany me to run the marathon? Because it's too boring just running by myself. So he got himself a bike and accompanied me.
That's anyway, a good friend.
Yeah, definitely.
I like how he got a bike as well instead of running. That's clever.
And in the morning, my dad woke me up at 6 o'clock, had breakfast, and then went for the marathon, and we wouldn't talk to each other. He drove, we were competitors here. And then we ran the marathon. Obviously, he beat me by a long way. I was the last one, but I did it.
You did it.
I couldn't walk for a couple of days, but it was a defining moment of saying, you can do, if you put your mind onto something.
So your dad ran the marathon?
Yeah.
Did he? Right, okay.
My dad ran a few marathons, and when he was 80, he switched he ran the 10K in Glasgow and the 20K in Glasgow 5 times.
At 80?
No, at 70. 70 to 75-year-old. When he was 80, he switched from marathons to sprinting. 100 meters. When he was 82, he was the Spanish champion for 100 meters in Spain for his age range.
Wow.
80 to 85. Now he's 89 and a half. And in August, he's going to Gothenburg for the Olympics to run the 85 to 90. And I'm going to come and see him. He's been such influence in my life.
Yeah.
You can.
I've had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of times on the coaching calls because he dips into them, and that's.
Let me show you a picture of the guy because it's worth. Have I shown it to you?
Possibly.
So this is it. Just 2 seconds. This is the guy.
Wow.
He's 85 here. 85.
So
Is there a camera there?
We'll show that on the video as well.
That's him. 85 sprinting.
As someone who can barely run the length of himself,
Yeah.
that's very impressive.
So I wish I said to my dad, if you are 100 and become the world champion at 100 meters, I'll take you to any restaurant you want in the on planet Earth.
Yeah.
You know.
So coming back to yourself, you went to London School of Economics?
No, University College.
University College.
I did some subjects at LSE, but I was in UCL, yes.
And what was it you studied there?
Economics.
Economics.
Yes. And then LSE, accounting and finance.
Right.
Then it was Manchester after that, did you say? Yeah.
Yes, an MBA.
And what drove you to thinking back to them? Why did you choose economics? Why was that your choice?
I wanted to do, when in Spain you call empresariales, business studies, but somebody told me economics has more prestige, and I just followed that advice. And it was a good intellectual development doing economics, really.
It sounds fancier.
Yeah.
As I would say, somebody that's not an academic.
Yeah.
Economics sounds fancier than business studies.
Yes.
Definitely.
That's probably what I took it. I didn't. Yeah. So I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, I bet.
Yes.
How did you find Manchester?
Very good. It was a good change from London being so rushed and hectic to Manchester. Like Glasgow is a bit more slow pace. Very vibrant city. I loved it. And the MBA, I was with 135 high flyers from 35 countries, which I still keep in touch. Okay. And it was wonderful, really.
And what actually then brought you up to Glasgow from Manchester? Was it more study or was it work?
It was work driven.
Work, right,
yeah.
okay.
So I helped 2 software companies, European companies, break into the UK market. I was employee number 1 for one of them.
Right.
And help them grow the business from scratch. And then I got headhunted by a second software company, to do the same. And then after that, I moved into coaching.
Right.
And the reason why I moved into coaching, again, is partly going back to my dad. I think I told you he wanted me to go back to Spain to help him run the business, and I didn't go back. He waited 20 years. When he was 70, he was still running the business. He was the managing director, 200 employees. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And he said, well, Javier is successful in the UK. He's not coming back. I'm selling the business. And he did. When he sold the business, he phoned me that day. I think it was the 5th of 2005. And he said, Javier, today is the first day in my life I don't have anxiety. I don't have butterflies in my stomach. I can sleep like a baby. And I said, why running a business has to feel like that? And then I came across the book Traction, which is written by Gino Wickman. And it's a book that changed my life again. And it's basic. And I thought to myself, I wish I had helped my dad implement this EOS system in his business, and the business would be thriving today. Because 2 years after he sold the business went bust.
Oh, God.
Wow.
With 200 families in it. And then I thought, I wish I had help.
Yeah.
So that's my why now, is help people like my dad, entrepreneurs, small and medium-sized businesses, anything from 10 employees to 250 employees. That's my sweet spot that I can help business owners and leadership teams. I have clients bigger than that and smaller than that, but that's my, sweet spot. Yeah, definitely.
So how long ago did you start business coaching? Like, when did you first set off on your own?
5 years ago.
5 years ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you'd always been in corporate careers before that?
Yes.
What was your job in corporate before you, as I know you mentioned a couple of software gigs, but what did you actually do?
So my background has always been business development.
Right.
Sales, business development, and basically starting the business from scratch, as I mentioned before. In the UK, I was employee number 1 for each one of those companies. And then, because I was the main English-speaking employee, I was given the task of replicating, going to other countries. So I traveled the world, really. I went to over 60 countries in the 4 continents, developing the business for these software companies. It was an incredible, great experience. Yeah.
And that moment of inspiration that you had to think, I'm going to try this on my own, I'm going to go out on my own. Do you think that defining inspiration was that conversation with your dad when he picked up the phone and said, I've sold the business, I'll sleep like a baby tonight? Did you have a wee moment there where you thought, I could possibly help other people like him?
Yeah. So when I'm 55 now, so when I was 50 is when I made that change in my head. I said, I've done enough corporate and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But then I came across, coaching as a franchise, and I thought that was a nice transition. You still run your own business, but you save a lot of time in, documenting and getting the. So that was. Yeah.
So you bought a coaching franchise business. Correct. Essentially?
Yes.
To get you going, right? Okay. Yes. So tell us a bit about that. How was the first couple of years going it on your own? Was it tough?
Okay, I've always had by the side, I built the property business. So I had this property business by the side, which I grew to this day and still growing it. And also I had a small failure on setting up a business with a friend of mine, an ex-employee that I recruited back in the day on cosmetics. And we set up the business, and I didn't see this kind of being growing a bit. It was more of a family business, so I sold my part on it. But then going back to coaching, the first 2 years was pretty tough because it was a 180-degree change. Having the security of a well-paid job and just doing the business development, no issues with cash flow, no issues with employees, no issues with, you run your own show within corporate. It's something that kind of your own business it was quite daunting at the beginning.
Yeah.
But again, the thing of mindset, there was a point I was thinking of quitting. Also because coaching business owners, it's a big responsibility. You are carrying a weight on your shoulders. And I feel very close to the clients I coach. I'm very close to it. So the first 2 years, it was tough. And I said, do I want to do this, or I want to go back to the easy in inverted commas, easy life of being in corporate?
Yeah.
But I stayed there, and it's paid off, and I broke through the ceiling. I broke through. It was painful, but I guess that happens in any business. Yeah. When you hit the wall, it could be mental, it could be cash flow, it could be... And mine was mindset says, do I want to do this? Am I made for this? And I stay with it, and I broke through it, and it's been just wonderful.
And just on that, Javier, then, so thinking back, so what was that first wall that you hit, and when did you feel like, yeah, okay, that's me, broke through it?
Within the first 2 months of coaching, I started to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was fresh like a rose. And so I got up. I said, what the hell am I going to do in bed? I'm quite restless, in inverted commas. I'm quite dynamic and energetic. So then I went for a run at 4:30 in the morning. I went to Pollock Park. It was pitch black, and then, I was having a shower one day, and my body started to cry. My body. And my mind said, why is the body crying? And I was depriving it of sleep. I was just waking up early in the morning for no reason at all. So then is when I thought, can I do this? And when I'm with clients, I have to be up. Sometimes you feel down for whatever reason. I have to be up for them.
Yeah.
They are down, I am up.
Yeah.
I am down, I am up.
Yeah.
And that was, 3 years like that. And
How did you first go about acquiring clients for business coaching when really you didn't have there's no track record there? Was it just all the usual stuff, networking, outreach? Like, what was your tack to try and get people in the door when you first started out?
Yes, my background is business development, so I'm pretty good at growing people's businesses and my own. I use marketing strategies. I'm very good with people. I love being with people, and I've got a passion for helping first. That's one of my core values, is to help first. And as somebody said, if you help enough people out there, you will get what you want. You know, just help enough people, you know.
Yeah.
And people feel that. And I do a lot of pro bono coaching. In fact, every client I had, I gave them coaching sessions they didn't pay for. It was part of my coaching process before hiring a client. I mean, I hire clients, right? It has to be a good fit. And they just said, I want more. You know, I want more. What's next? So they join a coaching program that fitted them.
So obviously you've said going for profit has two sort of separate programs or arms to it. So what one of them came first?
Okay, so I mean, with the coaching franchises that I'm part of, so you have you run your own business with your own brand, and if you like, below that you have products. Okay, so I've got different coaching programs, and you've got one-to-one coaching that you coach the business owner. That's one product, if you like.
Yeah.
Then you have group coaching, where you coach a number of business owners, you know, smaller businesses, and then you have. The other arm is the EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which you are coaching leadership teams, the business owner with the leadership team.
Right.
So that's the.
And let's say I'm a business owner, I've got 10 staff members, let's say, and a lot of people say that being an entrepreneur can be pretty lonely, especially if you're a sole owner. I guess you don't have maybe a business partner or a network that you can lean into to share ideas.
Yes.
Is that the typical client that will come to you and say, I just need another set of ears and eyes to run ideas past, hold me to account almost if I say I'm going to do something, make sure that I do it. Almost like a PT, but of the business world.
Yes.
Is that typically?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. So I think the two core pillars of coaching is focus and accountability. So many people get distracted with shiny objects. And I always say you can do anything, but not everything. And there is so much to be said for that. You may have seen this on YouTube, but there was Bill Gates, his dad, and Warren Buffett. It may have been a TED talk or a talk of some sort. And after the talk, an 11-year-old boy asked, you know, I've got a question for you. I am 11-year-old. I want to be as successful as you have been. What advice can you give me? And you know what the three of them said at the same time? One word. Magic happened. They said at the same time, focus. Just focus. And you look around, business owners, shiny objects. A new product, a new this, a new that, getting sidetracked. Just focus. You need to be humble to focus and say no to other things, other opportunities, the wrong opportunity.
That's definitely something I grapple with. I'm getting better at it.
Me too.
Honestly, I install apps to stop me going on apps so I can focus. You know, that's where I'm at in my business journey. But all of that rings true. And I was part of your group coaching product,
Yes.
which I found hugely beneficial, if I'm being honest. And thinking, in that group environment, there's probably about 6 people on the call. Out of those 6 people, there's 2 in my coaching group I'm still in contact with. So you build a really good community. But when you look at all these business owners, entrepreneurs, leadership teams that you work with, is there any really consistent traits that you see in successful coaching recipients that you've had a lot of, good results with?
Yeah, I would say everybody wants to grow, but nobody wants coaching. What I mean by that is, everybody wants to be number one in their field and to grow the business and to achieve this and that and the other. But coaching is tough. Mm-hmm. Allowing yourself to be coached is tough. Why? Because they are going to push you. Mm-hmm. My job is to get my clients outside the comfort zone. Why? Because in the comfort zone, nothing happens.
Yeah.
The comfort zone is the zone of mediocrity. And if there is one thing in life I cannot stand, is mediocrity in my life. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it just I cannot go to bed and sleep with myself.
Do you think one of the challenges of that is that typically when you're working with a business owner, they're maybe not used to, not necessarily hearing no, but they don't receive a lot of challenge because they're at the top, if you like. They're making the key decisions every day on what the business is doing, the direction of the business. So suddenly when you've got a coach that's trying to pull you out of your comfort zone and really challenge you, is that dynamic ever challenging?
Yeah, well, for me to work with a business owner and the leadership team, they need to be growth oriented. They want to grow. Not just, it could be financial growth, it could be personal growth, it could be growth of the people, the team, the systems, and so on. They have to be open-minded. They have to be open and honest. They have to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Very important. If you're not vulnerable, you cannot change, really. Mm-hmm. Those are the traits for me to coach.
And how do you pull that out of people? And is it just a discovery session that you would have to try and get a sense?
I do a 90-minute session with, if somebody is interested to know more, I give a 90-minute session. And in that session, you see, I got a knack for seeing that you ask questions and you listen to the answers and then...
Right, okay.
It's got to be a good fit, otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you, so there will be people that come that you think we are not the right fit or
yes.
You're not going to get out of what you should.
Yes, correct. I mean, I'm not in a numbers game, to have thousands of clients. It's a bit of a boutique, if you like, in the sense that, it's got to be a good fit. Mm-hmm. And horses for courses, it could be either way. Yeah. And you are going to be working with them, so you have to connect as well. Mm-hmm. Beyond what I've said, it's going to be chemistry. And maybe it could be another coach that works for them. So it could be they could tick the boxes, but you
don't vibe with them.
I had coaches that said, Javier, can you coach this client because we are not on the same page, whatever, and vice versa. So the important thing is to help the client. Yeah, Who does it is not there.
And has there, don't need to name names or anything like that, but has there ever been someone that you've took on thinking that they tick all the boxes and then you've thought, oh my God, this is a disaster. Right? Yeah. I may be one of them.
It's never a disaster because the fact that they've invested in coaching, that means, it's like Nelson Mandela said, I always win or learn.
Yeah.
You don't fail. And that's so true. So in some cases, I had to sack a client, if you like, to stop coaching a client because I said, look, you are wasting your money. Mm-hmm. You are coming to the sessions and you are not implementing. Mm-hmm. Some of the times, the client said, I want to stop coaching because I'm not implementing what I'm doing. I said, and I agree with you. Mm-hmm. So you have to be committed.
Yeah.
And that's the price to pay for achieving the things you want to achieve.
Yeah. See, I think we talk about this so much about trying to always plan in time to work on the business, taking ourselves out for the day and stopping and having a think about where are we going, let's plan, are we achieving what we planned to do last time? But it's equally one of the easiest things to go, we don't have time for that. You look at the calendar, the time's there, and you go, oh, we're too busy with client work, we need to just move that out. Whereas I think that if there's a coach involved, it's almost if you pay attention. So if I've made that financial investment, I guess in theory makes it easier to look at that in the calendar and go, Javier's going to be after me here. I told him that I was going to do X, Y, and Z, so I better get my arse in gear and actually do it.
Yes.
Now,
the one thing, you know what the biggest excuse is on planet Earth? Can you guess?
I don't have time.
I don't have time. Do you get that marketing strategy? Do you hire that person? Do you sack that person? By the way, I never tell the business owner what to do. I ask the questions. Sometimes it's teaching, sometimes it's facilitating, coaching. It's a mix of the three. But they have to make the decision themselves. Okay, after this conversation, I'm going to do this. The week after they come back, Javier, I didn't have time. Somebody was off sick. There was an earthquake, whatever. And I say, they are excuses. They are not reasons. They are excuses.
Yeah.
And that is the second biggest epidemic on planet Earth.
Yeah.
So the question I have to ask is, which is the first epidemic? Is fear.
Fear. Right.
Fear number one, procrastinating number two.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And what would you say is the quickest way to get over those issues?
Coaching.
Coaching is a means. Is wanting.
Right.
It's wanting. And I'll tell you something. Back in, I tend to cram in a lot in my life. And a consequence of that is that sometimes I arrive late. That's back a few decades. And sometimes now I cram in too much and I arrive late. Not to coaching appointments, but other things. The dentist, no. And somebody told me 2 decades ago, Javier, to be on time is got to be important to you. How true? When you make it important, that means it becomes a value. You value it. A value is what you value. So when you make it important in your life, you make it happen. So again, is it important to you do you really, really want this? Yes. Then you're going to do it. If you come to me the following week and says, I didn't have the time, I says, it's not important enough for you. So, Brian, what do you do instead of doing that hire? Well, I says, you have 168 hours a week. All of us. Elon Musk has 168 hours a week. Why does he get done so much in his week? Managing 100,000 people. And his business is rocket science, okay? So it is wanting. And you cannot really, in my view, you cannot really motivate people. And I say to business owners, you need to hire people who are motivated. You cannot motivate them. Your vision can motivate them. If you have a compelling, engaging vision, boom. So the business owner, how compelling, how engaging is your vision? So you do that hire. You do the marketing plan where you don't feel like it. And a magic number is 5. Work 5 hours a week on the business. You know that one.
Yeah.
5 hours a week. Now, you said before, I don't have time to work on the business. Well, it's like going in your car and say, I haven't got time to put petrol.
Yeah.
You need to stop to put petrol, otherwise you're going to run out of... Same with the business. If you don't work on the business, you'll run out of gas. Simple as.
And you know what? There's real irony because, and he'll chuckle, but every time we then do have that time, so yesterday we had a proper session on working on the business, first in a while, and I think that's the thing that gives me the most enthusiasm about working in the business is working on the business. I very rarely leave those sessions thinking, oh God, that was cumbersome. Or, you leave it feeling excited.
Yes.
Almost, it's like you've got a renewed sense of enthusiasm, and just think, why are we not doing this all the time?
Yeah.
Like, this is the exciting part of being in business almost. But I wanted to kind of ask you a question about, you've coined it as like distractions, shiny toy, new thing. I think that like Barry, I'm on a bit of a journey with that. there's probably not a day that goes by that there's not an opportunity of some sort that's kind of presented to you in some way where you go, oh, let's have a look into that. And then before you know it, you've maybe wasted 2 weeks on something and you go, no, I just need to focus on the bread and butter stuff here. How do you balance that almost not missing out on an obvious opportunity as a business owner and not almost just being completely blinkered, but really staying focused on what helps your business grow?
Yes, a great question. So is having a plan. Having a plan that you visit every quarter, every 90 days. And that's what I call the 90-day life, okay? The 90-day world. So every 90 days, you come up for air with your leadership team and revisit your vision, you revisit your 10-year goal, you revisit your core values, you revisit your marketing plan, how to get there, and tweak it. And if somebody comes with a new idea, okay, next quarter or next year, but you stick to the plan. You may change the strategy to get there, but you don't change the goal. Why? Because if you keep changing the goal, you never get there. Self-evident, right?
That's clever, actually. So it's almost just like, if it's in the 90-day plan,
You
it
stick to it.
happens.
Yes.
If it's no, it doesn't mean it's a bad idea, but it's on the shelf until the next
Correct.
review session.
Because you can do anything, but not everything.
Right, okay.
And that requires maturity to say now. You need to be mature. Kids want everything now, you know.
Yeah. You're right, and it's a valid point, because it's definitely something I struggle with at times, where I think being so commercially driven, it's like you see an opportunity and think, oh, timing's everything, we can't miss it, let's explore it. But we've definitely done that previously, and then, as I say, 2 weeks passes and you go, kind of wasted 2 weeks on that,
Yeah.
and something else has probably fallen as a result of being distracted with the new shiny.
And that's why many businesses go bust, because they run out of cash. You know, growth sucks cash. You know, so it's very much so. Focus.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there a particular type of business that you think, like, or even a particular sector that a business operates in that you thrive in helping? Or is it just, could be a high street business, an online business, it doesn't really matter?
Some coaches focus on specific industries. I haven't. So I'm industry agnostic. I can coach any business that meets the psychographics I described before of growth-oriented, open-minded. It doesn't matter what the industry is. They have to be in the right industry and with the right product service. If they don't, I cannot help. So it's more, I'm helping them implement on the EOS side, the entrepreneurial operating system, a complete system with very practical tools that will make any business get traction.
So I suppose if you think about, like, everyone says, oh, find your niche. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like your niche isn't an industry, it's a characteristic. So you look for the behaviours of a person, that's what you're after, rather than, I want to work in a marketing company or a renewables company.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
On the coaching front, right, and I haven't been a recipient of the group coaching, I know there's so many different parts of it, it's really in depth. Is there any particular element of the coaching that you deliver that you enjoy the most?
Any particular part of the coaching? Not specifically. In terms of programs, I enjoy more coaching leadership teams.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is I always say a business has the same amount of pressure all the time. It's how you distribute it amongst the team. And oftentimes the business owner is holding all the pressure. And he or she may have 10 employees, 20 employees, 200 employees, but they carry it all on their shoulders. They need to distribute the pressure across the team. The same happens with coaching. One-to-one coaching is a lot of pressure. And I've come to the conclusion in the past 2 years that you need to bring the leadership team into the coaching. You need to bring the leadership. Otherwise, the business owner comes with the ideas from coaching, his ideas from coaching, and then he's on his own. And the team is, oh, here we go again, Bring the leadership team onto the coaching to help you cascade everything through the organization. So, I thrive coaching leadership teams,
And I would imagine it's a very rewarding thing at times when a business owner joins you at a particular point of their journey. They say, this is really what I want to achieve through working with a coach. And then they, hopefully surpass that and then some. Is that the thing that really gives you that spark and motivates you to keep doing what you're doing? Seeing that transformation?
It gives me a massive boost. That's why I do what I do. Because I see my dad in every business owner I coach, and he or she. And honestly, it's a massive boost. And it's a humbling experience. My clients are the heroes. And I just feel privileged to be able to be part of, to be the conduit to help them grow. It's amazing.
And what are you thinking future-wise? Like, how big do you want to take this? Are you wanting to grow this to the moon? Are you wanting to just reach a certain point that means that you're nice and comfortable and ticking along nicely?
I don't believe in comfortable. And I say to everybody, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get used to being uncomfortable, because being comfortable will kill you. How many millionaires, billionaires, they lost the passion for doing things. They had money, they had security, and then their lives became meaningless. So, in terms of growth, for me, success is not necessarily growth. My vision as a business, as a coaching business, is I came up with the idea in 2019, pre-COVID, was to help 1,000 businesses this decade. Why 1,000? I thought it was ambitious enough, scary enough to chase, and it was realistic as well. Is it just a number? Well, it helps me to help many more businesses. The number, in a way, is irrelevant, but it's big enough for me not to stay in my laurels and keep helping business owners. Yeah.
How long is the commitment for a business owner? So if I'm interested in one of your coaching programs,
great question.
How long am I typically on the hook for, as it were?
Okay, so when a client asks, how long do I need coaching? I say, you need coaching for as long as you want to achieve goals bigger than yourself. If you want to achieve something bigger than you need other people. Going to the moon, JF Kennedy said, before the decade is over, we'll go to the moon. One man said that, but 400,000 people got involved. So, it's if you want to compete for the Olympics, you need a coach. If you don't want to compete, you don't need one.
It's interesting because anytime I hear or we discuss coaches, my mind immediately goes to high performance athletes, footballers, Olympians, boxers.
Yes.
And I guess there is something in that, in the sense that even at their level, golf in particular, I guess, is a really key one. They say that 70% it's just all in their head. It's not about the physical mechanics yet. So it's like, if they recognise the value and importance of constantly being coached, having a coach there, and often, firing a coach to bring a more elite coach on board. I don't know, I guess it makes you feel a bit stupid as a business owner sitting here going, why would you not have a coach? It just makes so much sense.
Well, coaching business is a sport.
Yeah. I've heard a few highly successful entrepreneurs say that. I think it's Mark Cuban that says a lot that he views business as the most elite form of sport on earth.
You're competing. It could be against a competitor. It could be against yourselves, becoming better, market share, whatever. It's a sport. Getting better.
Yeah. And see, in regards to the want that you mentioned being so important, right? So then there's action. So you can have all the best plans in the world, but if you don't do anything with them, then what's the point? And then when we sort of juggle with this as well, you've got family life, other commitments. Is there any advice in regards to managing all the pieces of the puzzle? Like how do you manage your time around family, your goals, taking action, and just and making the most of the time you have available?
With a default diary that you are familiar with.
Yes, yeah.
A default diary is planning your week, and this comes also in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Having your week planner and blocking category of, for instance, I'm going to be doing sales or marketing 1 hour a day, okay, 10 to 11, Monday to Friday, or whatever. You block your diary. You make an appointment with yourself. Because I find sometimes clients say, oh, I wanted to do my marketing plan. It was going to take me 3 hours, and then things happen. And then I says, John, when on our coaching session, you never get interrupted. Mm-hmm. You never pick up a phone. You never answer the door. Why? Do you respect me than you respect yourself? Mm-hmm. Make an appointment with yourself and get down to deep work. Mm-hmm.
That I've never thought about it that way, but that makes a hell of a lot of sense because, as you say, you wouldn't miss a meeting with a client if it was in the calendar. Well, why would you miss a meeting with yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
As I said earlier, I was honest enough to say that I find that stuff that we put in the calendar for us is the easiest stuff to go. Whereas if that's a client meeting, for example, doesn't matter what's happening, that's no going. So you're right, it probably is just about recalibrating in your own mind.
Yes.
That, if we've got time in to work on the business or you've got time in to, discuss an employee matter, then why is that not just as important as a client meeting that you would never push out of the diary?
Yes. And sometimes people procrastinate when say, okay, I'm going to do the marketing plan, 2 hours. Because they haven't got clarity of what they need to do. There is no clarity, and they block 2 hours without clarity. It's the easiest thing to procrastinate. Then you go to something easier to do, to fill the time. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm bad at times for, like, my calendar always looks busy, right? But I think what I'm bad for is, and that's gave me some food for thought actually around time blocking. So my calendar primarily, in a good week is filled with sales calls. But what I don't do is say, right, on a Tuesday, my time for sales calls is here to here. I've essentially just got an open calendar and I'll say to a prospect, when's good for you? Or I will send them a link to my calendar, which gives them all of my available slots and they'll just pick a slot.
Yes.
When actually what I could be doing is saying, right, from Tuesday to Thursday, my time to host sales calls is 1 o'clock to 3 p.m.
Yes.
Still sending that calendar link, there's still plenty of availability there, but that way I'm almost more in control.
Yes.
Rather than it just being stuff just arriving all over the place and me going, right, I need to go there, I need to do this, I need to...
Sometimes people say, oh, I want to do this, when is the best time? I said, the best time is the best time for you. Mm-hmm. If you have to think about the best time for them, you'll never live your life, You need to anchor it. The best time is for you. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, the other key word you said, so time management, fine, and then taking action, jumping. I love to call it jumping, and I'm pretty good at that. Also because I've done free fall parachuting. Because of my dad. My dad was 70, I was whatever, and we jumped together. Well, separate parachutes. But anyway, when I was 4, another defining moment in my life that my dad was part of. I was 4, I was in Valencia, summer, swimming pool, and I said, Dad, I want to learn how to swim. Do you? Come over here. Mm-hmm. He grabbed me by the arm and went to the Olympic-sized swimming pool outdoor. And in the corner where you had the steps to come out, in the corner, he just dropped me. And I remember so clearly, 4-year-old, just letting my dad go, and then going into the water, glue. I said, I'm lost here, And then suddenly, my dad pulled his arm and dragged me out. And I was spitting water and put him on his shoulder and pat me on the back. And sometimes when I take a decision in life, which I don't know if it's going to work out, I think of that moment. I mean, I believe I believe in God. And I always think that he always looks after us. I mean, for other people who are not thinking, they can think of the universe or supreme intelligence or Mother Nature, but there is a force up there, that takes care of us, and I do believe in that. And that together with that defining moment of my dad, go for things, risking it all. It says there, you need to take some measured risks, otherwise nothing happens,
Mm-hmm.
And a great question to ask yourself, okay, I'm going to take this decision. What if it goes wrong? A great question to ask yourself is, can you live, if it goes wrong, could you live with that?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer is, yeah, I could live with that, then go for it, because if you win, fantastic. No, I couldn't live with that. Then don't go for it.
I did a social post recently, actually, on the podcast. It's been January when we started this. I think you're maybe guessed 19 or 20 thus far, and spoke to many really, really successful people. And I think for me, upon reflection of some of the real successful individuals that have sat across us in this podcast, the one trait that I see above all else that they all share is, I mean, you could look at it and go, it's nothing special, but they're chronic action takers. Mm-hmm. They just don't sit in their hands. Mm-hmm. They take action on whatever, and that either works out or it doesn't, and they pivot accordingly. Yeah. If it works out, great. It was worth taking the action on, keep at it. If they don't, as you say, learn from it, on to the next thing.
And that's why the mantra that we all hear so often, if you fail fast. At one point, what does that mean? It's already now. If you fail fast. Okay. To me, what that means is, don't spend your entire life failing once. When you are 80, you fail, you've done one thing and you fail. Fail fast means, take action. If it doesn't work, move to the next, or get better and better and better. Yeah, it's like you never lose. You either win or learn. Mm-hmm. So,
all right, cool. Well, listen, we'll start to wrap up, and I know we spoke about it briefly, just in terms of what your future plans are, and you expressed that you don't like comfort, you want to just keep pushing and pushing, but and you spoke about your ambition to help 1,000 business owners. Where are you at against that? Are you nearly there? Are you halfway there? And then, how does that materialise in terms of your business growing to, the level that you want it to be at? Like, just what are the granular future plans that you have for the business?
Okay, so on the 31st of December 2023, I did my numbers at the end of the year. And then I've got a KPI dashboard, which is automated, linked to my CRM, and the number was 511.
Right, so you're halfway there.
I put a post in LinkedIn just to say that, and we are halfway there. So, I feel privileged in the profession I'm in, and it's been a wonderful journey, really.
Yeah. Well, to be one of the 511, Javi, I just want to say thanks, because you've helped me massively, and let us know when you hit 1,000. We'll go out for a game of golf and celebrate.
Brilliant. I've got a small request to ask you.
Sure.
The way you pronounce my name, and many people get it wrong, is the J, Javier J, sounds like an age. Javier.
Right, okay.
I should really know that.
Well, listen. Sorry, on you go.
I was just going to say, look, it's been great having you on, and excited to see you hit this 1,000 number.
Yeah.
And
the number is not the important thing, okay? The important thing is helping business owners and leadership teams.
Do you want to give your business a quick plug just before we wrap up? Just for the, I guess there will definitely be both entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs listening to today's episode. So give it a bit of a plug. What's the name? How can they reach you? Why should they reach out?
Reach out to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, if you want if you are committed to your business, is the camera there?
Yeah.
If you are committed to your business, you want to grow and help others grow, just get in touch. What I do for people who are interested, I give them a 90-minute session, selfless. I'm going to help them. I don't sell coaching. People buy it. It's too big to sell. People buy it. So at the end of the session, they will say, wow, that was amazing. I want more.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, reach me. You can reach me on the website goingforprofit.com. Going for number 4 profit.com. That's probably the easiest way.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming. Really
Pleasure.
enjoyed our catch up. Congratulations on the continued success of your business. As Barry said, look forward to you hitting that key milestone and then recalibrating and, you know, shooting for the stars thereafter. So well done. Thanks for coming. Cheers to everybody, as always, for listening and watching. As always, give us a like and a follow across all our social channels, and we will be back next week with a new episode, as always.
Adios, amigos.
Thanks,
Yes,
everyone.
thanks,
Cheers.
everybody.
Thank you very much.